Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wal-'aqibatu lil-muttaqeen. Was-salatu was-salamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal-mursaleen. Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan bil lisani yafqahu qawli. Nawaitu ta'allum wa ta'lim wa tadhakkur wa tazkir wa nafa'u wa intifa'u wa ifadatu wa istifadah wal hath ala tamassuki bi kitabillah wa bi sunnati rasulih sallallahu alayhi وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم دعاء الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله مرضاته وقرب وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصلي وسلم على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين وصلي وسلم على سيدنا محمد في كل وقت وحين وصلي وسلم على سيدنا محمد حتى ترث الأرض ومن عليها وأنت خير الوارثين آمين. طيب. So inshallah we are continuing, we're going to be starting a series on the Shama'il of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The intentions behind this, first and foremost, is that we find ourselves in the month of Rabiul Awwal, the month in which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam was born. And many people like to celebrate the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In reality, a celebration of the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is something that every Muslim does at every single moment of their life. Okay, we learn about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we read about him, we try to embody his character sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, and that is kind of something that we should be doing anyway, any time of the year. However, I feel that a lot of times people say that, but they don't do that. Okay, so we say, yeah, we're gonna, we should be celebrating every day, but we don't often find, oftentimes we find people who don't have that tawfiq. So whenever we find ourselves like in times that are blessed, or when we find people moving towards a certain direction, then it helps us to kind of gives us the impetus together to attach to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, whether we do it in this month or in next month or the month after. Okay, so we're going to be going through the Shama'il of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. This will probably be a long endeavor. I will try to see how quickly we go through it, but I would rather we take our time on it because it's a long. First of all, the Shama'il in and of itself is a long book. The book that we're going through is quite long, and on top of that, we are learning about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sallam, and so therefore it requires the qadr of it. It requires us to give it its due right, give it its due time. Okay. Shama'il in and of itself means something that encapsulates something. Okay, ishtamala means to contain something or to encapsulate something. Okay, and within the Shama'il, what we find is not only the khalq of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but the khuluq of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. The khalq is the outward, okay, the outward characteristics, the outward features of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the physical features of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his mannerism. And the khuluq is his inward, his character traits, his inward. Okay, this is what's encapsulated within khalq and khuluq. Okay, of him sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Hujurat, He says, وَعَلَمُوا أَنَّ فِيكُمْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. Okay, know and realize that amongst you is a messenger or the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, and what that requires for us is to learn who he is. Okay, learn not only who he is in terms of his life, but also his character, his mannerisms. This is all encapsulated within the Sharia, within Shama'il. In addition to that, what's the purpose of doing this? We do this why? Because it's a declaration of our love. It's a declaration of our love. Okay, yani love is predicated upon knowledge. And the ulama said there's two types of love. The type of love which is automatic. So, for example, a child's love for his parents, and opposite, the parents' love for his child. It's automatic. There's no conditions for that. It's just that bond, that's attachment. And then there's a type of love that's based upon knowledge, like, for example, husband and wife. Like, husband and wife will get to know each other, and then they will love each other. Okay, like you don't just see someone say, "Okay, I love him." Okay, like there's a process. But in relation to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every Muslim has an automatic type of love. Okay, but that is obviously kind of dependent upon the levels of that love is dependent upon the person. But this is knowledge of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so it's meant to develop that love. Okay, so you already have an attachment to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so already an automatic type of love that you have for him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But us learning about him sallallahu alaihi wasallam will also increase that love. That's the point. Okay, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La yu'minu ahadukum," that none of you will truly believe, "hatta akuna ahabbu ilayhim min malihi wa waladihi wa nasi ajma'in," until I become more beloved to him than his wealth and his children and all people, all together, everything. Like the Prophet said, this you're not going to get true faith. La yu'minu ahadukum. You will not attain true faith until I am more beloved to you than your wealth and all your children and everything else. Point is that he has to be the most beloved to us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as we mentioned before, like if we want to attain that shafa'atul udma, that great intercession, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has to recognize us. And how is he going to recognize us? When we recognize him, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wa sallam, in this life. We have to embody his character, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wa sallam. Imam Tirmidhi, rahmatullah, so the text that we're going to go through is called Al-Shamā'il Al-Muhammadiyyah. Okay, and I'm going to use a reference work, which is like a book by Sheikh Sharnubi, okay, which he's done like an abridgment of the Shama'il. So the plan is this, that we're going to basically read the hadith of the Shama'il, okay? So the notes you got in front of you will have the English and the Arabic of the Shama'il, okay? So we're going to read them for the barakah of reading them, but also take lessons from each of the hadith, okay? In the Shama'il Muhammadiyah, there's about 54 chapters, okay? So there's a lot of chapters within there, all right? But they go through the various different characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ, and these are hadith that have come from companions, okay? This is not like based upon conjecture or thoughts or etc. This has come from eyewitness accounts. You have the likes of Anas radiallahu anh, who was a close companion of the Prophet ﷺ, a cousin of the Prophet ﷺ, distant cousin of the Prophet ﷺ. You have the likes of Abu Hurairah, who was a close student of the Prophet ﷺ. Apart from Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, he narrates the most ahadith from the Prophet ﷺ in only a short space of time. He becomes Muslim, okay, and for a short space of time he narrates more hadith than any other companion, and then the Prophet ﷺ passes away. Okay, you have the likes of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anh, who's a cousin of the Prophet ﷺ, the son of Abu Talib, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, you're looking at key eyewitness accounts. Okay, you have the likes of Aisha radiallahu anha. Okay, Aisha radiallahu anha, obviously the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, likewise she narrates a hadith here as well. Okay, so these are eyewitness accounts. Okay, and so it also gives us a kind of an indication as to how much the companions loved the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like they fought for his water when he did wudu. Okay, they would take his sweat, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, they would, when he would do cupping, they would drink his blood. And we can't even understand. It's like, also you think that type of madness, but they loved him more than themselves. Like we see the story, like they loved them more than themselves. Look at Talha ibn Ubaydillah radiyallahu anhu, subhanallah, the Battle of Uhud, okay, when the Muslims are kind of like counter-attacked because the archers, they kind of move from their kind of spot, and the Muslims are kind of encircled, and the Prophet is there with just a few companions, and the Quraysh is pelting them with arrows, okay, and the Prophet is alone, and Talha literally covers the Prophet, and his own back is just pounded with arrows like a hedgehog, and he, like a man, like even for his wife would think twice, like think, nah, I'm not going to do that, right? A mother wouldn't. A mother would run to the children, But even for a man to do that for like the Prophet ﷺ, like you got to basically do that, like thinking I'm going here. It's sent for me, but I've got to save him. Like, what type of love is that? Those are the people who are narrating these ahadith. That's what we have to understand. Okay, it's a different type of, it's a different type of people. So part of the ahadith is not only the content of the ahadith, but the people who are behind it as well. Okay, may Allah be pleased with them. I mean, so Imam Tirmidhi, he compiled this work. Imam Tirmidhi is one of the great kind of like you could say forefathers of ahadith within our tradition. So you have the like, for example, Imam Bukhari. He has this famous collection, the Sahih al-Bukhari. We have Imam Muslim, who has his famous collection of Sahih Muslim. We have Abu Dawood, who has his collection known as the Sunan of Abu Dawood. And then you have Imam Tirmidhi has a different collection known as the Jami'. There's a separate collection of ahadith. This book, which is written on the Shamā'il of the Prophet ﷺ, is separate. Okay, he wrote this specially to collect all the ahadith that relate specifically to the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, how does he kind of like bring this book? So he starts off with a chapter called the chapter as it relates to the Bab Maja'an Khalq Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he speaks about first the noble features and the characteristic, like the physical features of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Why does he start with that? Because when you see a person, that's the first thing you see, the physical, the outward, right? That's the first thing you see. And so he basically starts off with that. Like he starts off with the physical. His last chapter is the chapter on seeing the Prophet ﷺ in your dream state. Okay, and the Prophet ﷺ mentions in there a hadith where he mentioned in the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ra'ani fil manam faqad ra'ani haqqa." Whoever has seen me in the dream state has truly seen me. فَإِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَا يَتَمَثَّلُنِي. Because the shaitan cannot imitate me. Okay. So if a person sees the Prophet ﷺ, and he will know it, he sees the Prophet ﷺ, in reality it is the Prophet ﷺ. So why is it that he first starts off speaking about the physical characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ, and he ends with seeing the Prophet ﷺ in the dream? Because by the end of it, the intention is to see the Prophet ﷺ in the dream state. Okay. Now that is something which is not kasbi, it's wahbi. What does that mean? It's not something that you attain. You can't just like do a certain amount of action and say, okay, I'm going to see the Prophet ﷺ. It's wahbi. Wahbi means it's gifted. If Allah wants to gift you with this, then He will gift it to you. If Allah doesn't want to gift it to you, then you could be a great person, a great pious person, but you might not be gifted with it. Only special people are gifted with the vision of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and it's a gift. It's a gift from God. Mighty and sublime is He. Okay, we ask Allah that He gives us the gift. Ameen. Okay, our teachers would say that the Shamā'il is our manhaj. It's like our way. Okay, now why is it our way? Because within, after speaking about the outward characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ in terms of the physical features, his behavior, his mannerism, how he would drink, how he would sleep, how he would comb his hair, etc., the Imam then brings chapters that speak about his character. Okay, now character, as we mentioned in Arabic, is khuluq. Okay, khuluq. Now, there's many ahadith that speak about the importance of good character. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ said that أثقل شيء على الميزان حسن الخلق, that the most weightiest things on the Day of Judgment is good character. The weightiest thing on the scales of the Day of Judgment is good character. He also said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أقرب إلي مجلسا يوم القيامة أحسنكم خلقا, that the closest one to me, sitting with me on the Day of Judgment, is the one of the best of character. Okay. He also said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a person of good character is on the level of a person who fasted by day and prayed by night. That's the station of character. Now we have to think, why is that? The ulama say that khuluq, character, is beautiful. How, like one alim, he said that character is what easily flows from the body. So, like, if a person naturally is angry, right, in any circumstance, what's going to be the reflex? Anger. Because that's the only thing that comes easy. That's character. That's his character. Okay. Now, we might behave in a certain way, like, or we might have certain characteristics, maybe due to the way we've been brought up, or our family, or our culture, or our environment. It molds us, right? But what we have to realize is that we can't just sit there and say, well, God made me like this. You can't do that, right? You have to train yourself to behave in a certain way. Okay? You have to train yourself to behave in a certain way. Now that's hard. That's hard. Because to change someone's character, as I think the narration by Sayyidina Ali, like to change someone's character is like to move a mountain. It's very tough. Okay? If a person, like in their nature, like for example, they're stingy, very hard for them. They've got to really work on their nafs. Okay? Like Imam Ghazali said, like if a person's stingy, how do they change? They just keep giving until they just change. Now that's hard for the person, isn't it? Because it's going totally against that problem. But the point is that this is what character is. Now, the Prophet ﷺ said, look, ad-din mu'amalat, that like religion is about relationships, and it's about how you treat people. That's what the essence of deen is. And as we know, that is the most debated thing on the Day of Judgment. As we know that the closest to people of the Prophet ﷺ on the Day of Judgment is the wonderful character, requires us to perfect our character, work on our character, and become of those who have sweet character. Where do we learn that from? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said that, he says sallallahu alaihi wasallam that I was not that I was only sent to complete the great virtues of character. That's what he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know the ayah of the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he says innaka la'ala khuluqin azim, that indeed you are upon a great station of character. He said subhanahu wa ta'ala. Describing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and inshallah we will see this. We will see this, how he dealt with people, how he spoke to youngsters, how he dealt with his enemies. Okay, how did he speak to them? How did he behave with them? His rahmah with them, his rahmah with animals. All of this is encapsulated within Shamā'il. That's why the point is Shamā'il, meaning this thing that encapsulates. This will all be encapsulated within this. I hope and pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rectifies our states through this. I mean, because attachment to this is really attachment to a great way. Okay, like very important that we engage in this science. Very important. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and when I wanted to do it, it was like there was always roadblocks. There was like time and issues. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened the door. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps us firm on it. Another thing that I want to mention before we start is that some people, we go through some of these ahadith, they'll speak quite a lot of detail about the Prophet. Some people are like, well, I don't think we should do this. We shouldn't idolize. Yeah, maybe this is not good. We shouldn't be idolizing. Deen is not about shakhsiyat, right? It's just about love of God. Okay, you see, that's someone who hasn't understood the religion. Okay, like our religion is fundamentally based upon the way of nubuwah, upon the way of prophecy. Like we have to realize that Allah, out of all of the souls that He created, He chose him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to take upon this great message, number one, and to take upon the great mantle of being rahmatul lil alameen, a mercy to entire mankind. He chose him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so, when we read his life, we read that it was a life that was exemplary. There was no erring. There was no, wrong-footed. That's who he was, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. Okay, and so this is what we learn from this, and this is why it's important that we attach to this science, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us sincere. So before we begin the hadith, what is the common character? What are the common practices of the ulama? This is how we learn from our teachers. Is that they would always recite the hadith of silsila, which is the hadith of connection, meaning that we have listened to a hadith which we learned from our teachers, who listened to. So this is like the first hadith that is ever taught. Okay, the first hadith that is ever taught in gatherings of a hadith. When we listen to our teachers, they read it to us. Who listen to their teachers, who listen to their teachers, who listen to their teachers, with an unbroken chain to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The hope is that inshallah I will recite it to you, And when you teach this, inshallah, one day, that you will recite it to your students as well. And the hadith is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Ar-Rahimuna yarhamumur Rahman, irhamu man fil ard, yarhamkum man fis sama. Okay? Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhumur Rahman, irhamu man fil ard, yarhamukum man fis sama. Okay? So you might as well come and listen to this as well. Okay? Right? So like I said, so the practice of our scholars was that they would recite this hadith, one hadith, which is a hadith musalsal. It's a hadith that has a direct connection all the way back to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet said to his companions, said to the tabi'in, and so on and so on and so on, in an unbroken chain that has come to us. Okay? And we heard it from our teachers, and we will recite it to yourselves, and you'll recite it back to me, inshallah, and it will go in a unbroken chain, and forever onwards, inshallah. And the hadith is the Prophet said that Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhumur Rahman, irhamu man fil ard, yarhamkum man fis sama. That the merciful ones, Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhumur Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the all merciful, has mercy upon those who show mercy. Irhamu man fil ard, have mercy for those who are upon the earth. Yarhamkum man fis sama, the one who is in the heavens will show mercy to you. Okay, that's hadith musalsal that goes all the way back to the Prophet. So you can recite after me, inshallah. Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhumur Rahman. Okay, slowly. Ar-Rahimuna yarhamu hum ar-Rahman. Irhamu man fil ard. Yarhamukum man fis sama. Okay, so this is the hadith that's come from the Prophet. طيب. So let's look at these. Okay, so inshallah, we're going to start with the chapter, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's physical form. Okay, so inshallah, we'll recite the hadith in Arabic, and then we will give the translation and give a bit of a commentary. So the first hadith is the hadith by Anas ibn Malik radhiyallahu anhu. So I think in your notes you've got like quite a chunk of sanad. Yeah, so like transmission. So upon this one said, this one said, this one said, and this one said. Okay, so have you got? If you can find it where it says an Anas ibn Malik, yeah, in the Arabic. Yeah, you got it. Okay. Okay, so it says an Anas ibn Malik أنه قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس بالطويل البائن ولا بالقصير ولا بالأميض الأمحق ولا بالآدم ولا بالجعد القطط ولا بالسبت بعثه الله تعالى على رأس 40 سنة فأقام بمكة 10 سنين وبالمدينة 10 سنين وتوفاه الله على رأس 60 سنة وليس في رأسه ولحيته 20 شعرة بيضاء. Okay, so Anas ibn Malik radhiyallahu anhu, he said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam was neither excessively tall nor short. Okay, he was neither pale nor dark. Let me just get your notes as well, because I think the notes might be different translations. Yeah,
no, it's fine.
Yeah?
Lime. We've got
okay,
white
so
like lime.
Yeah, so he was neither tall nor short. Okay, like meaning that he was of medium stature. Okay, he was neither pale nor dark in complexion. He was neither very white nor very dark. Okay, neither was his hair tightly curled or completely straight. Okay, it wasn't neither straight or curly. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him upon the completion of 40 years, meaning he gave him nubuwwah at the age of 40. Okay, he stayed in Makkah for 10 years, okay, and in Medina for 10 years, okay. Allah took his soul, right, meaning that he passed away at the completion of 60 years, yeah, and there was not more than 20 white hairs on his head and beard. Okay, that's the first hadith. Right, so a bit of a commentary on this. First and foremost, This is narrated by Anas ibn Malik. Now, Anas ibn Malik, he was the servant of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, he was someone who was in close companionship with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he had a close attachment to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You would see him on a regular basis, and he was in the khidmah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says that he was neither tall nor short. Okay, like he was not excessively tall to the extent where he was lanky. Okay, but he was not extremely short to the extent that he was dwarf-like. He was middle. Now, generally, what we understand upon of the Arabs at that time, that like medium was around about 6 foot and a few inches. That was like the medium, and the Prophet ﷺ basically tended toward medium. Okay, right. So and then you have like kind of narrations of like some people who are like extremely tall, like Sayyidina Umar was like extremely tall, in excess of 7-8 feet. Okay, so generally they were like tall people. What's noted as well, though, some of the companions say that the Prophet ﷺ, when he would like walk amongst a group, he would come out as the tallest. Okay, but that wasn't like he was taller. It was just it showed that due to his stature, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, due to his presence, due to his greatness, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In addition to that, he says that his hair was not too curly, nor was it too straight, meaning that it tended towards waviness. Okay, and it would hang loose. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like sometimes you find like people like of like African descent, they have like really curled hair. That's how they get afros, because like there's loads of curls. Okay, it wasn't like that, and it wasn't extremely straight. Okay, it was kind of waved. It tended towards the middle of that. Okay. Then he says that he was sent after, so he was sent at the completion of 40 years, meaning when he got Nubuwwah, and that was at 40 years. Although we know from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ that the Prophet ﷺ, he tended towards khalwa, hubbiba ilayhi khalwa, he tended towards khalwa, meaning seclusion, meditation within the cave of Hira at the age of 38. And he started to meditate for about 2 years. Okay, in the cave of Hira for about 2 years. Then the wahi came to him at the age of 40. And actually, was even mentioned that, you know, this time when he would be meditating in the cave of Hira for about 2 years, he would also start to get dreams of Nubuwwah. Only in the age of 40, that's when the actual ilham came. That's when the actual inzal of the wahi came. Okay. Then he says that he stayed in Mecca for 10 years. Okay. Now, this is not something that we used to, because obviously from what we understand from the seerah, it's more than that, right? It's more than that. So the ulama basically say that in actual, because what we learn from the seerah is the Prophet was actually there for 13 years, okay, into the history. Why does Anas ibn Malik say 10 here? Because this was the nature of the Arabs, that they would speak in tens. So like he's saying here, that he stayed in for 10 years and Medina for 10 years, and then also Allah took his soul at 60, so he died actually at 63. But they're speaking in tens. They don't bother with units. Okay, yeah. This is an Arab thing. This is what they would do. This is from their nature. Okay. What's beautiful is now what he said. This is a kind of an indication of the connection that Anas has with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَلَيْسَ فِي لِحْيَتِهِ وَلَيْسَ فِي رَأْسِهِ وَلِحْيَتِهِ 20 شَعْرَةً بَيْضَاءَ. That there was not on his head or his beard more than 20 white hairs. What does that mean? That means he must have counted how many white hairs were on his head. Okay. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And a chapter will come as it relates to the hairs of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Generally, where his white hairs were here. Okay, this piece of section here and here. Okay, on the by his ears. That's where his white hairs generally were. But it's mentioned that, you know, there weren't more than 20. However, there's a difference of opinion as to the number, and there's a discussion with regards to that. So the Sahaba will discuss that in the ahadith that will come eventually. That speaks about how many hairs were on his blessed head, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Okay. What is noted though is that towards the end of his life, the Prophet ﷺ does start to get more grayer, and they say, and it said to him, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said to him that, you know, you've gone grey. Ya Rasulullah, why have you gone grey? And he goes, because it's out of contemplation of Surah Hud. Okay, and it's surahs as well that are similar to it and after it. That has made me grey out of contemplation. Subhanallah. Okay, but that what Anas mentions here is a kind of general norm that he finds during his time of being close to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Okay. Next hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is said. Okay. So again, it's narrated by Anas radhiallahu anh. Okay. Let's get the notes here again. So he says, and Anas ibn Malik قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ربعة ليس بالطويل ولا بالقصير حسن الجسم وكان شعره ليس بجعد ولا سبط أسمر اللون إذا مشى يتكفأ. Okay, صلى الله عليه وسلم. So he says that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم was of medium height. Okay, medium height and medium build. Raba'a means not only medium height, but medium build as well. ليس بالطويل ولا بالقصير. He was not excessively tall nor extremely short. حسن الجسم. Okay, with a fine physique. Okay, fine physique meaning well kind of he's what's the word
built.
Yeah, well built. He had a good build. Okay, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. كان شعره ليس بجعد ولا بالسبط. Okay, similar to what he mentioned before. His hair was neither tightly curled nor completely straight. Okay, but slightly wavy. Okay, أسمر اللون. Okay, a red complexion. Okay, a wheaty complexion. Okay. إذا مشى يتكفأ. When he would walk, he would incline or lean forward slightly. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. So as we mentioned, with relates to the height, like I mentioned, he would have medium kind of height as it relates to the Arabs. Generally, though, that they say he would kind of tend towards being taller. Okay, as it relates to the general kind of what the companions were like, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the general Arabs at the time. Okay. Raba'atan, and then Hasan al-Jism. He had a fine physique, meaning that he had like a good moderate build. And the key thing is that his limbs, they were neither flabby nor were they like really thin. He had good proportions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. They say sometimes the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would walk in the streets of Medina with his top uncovered. Okay, and like our teacher would say that you would see him packed. Okay, he'd be packed, he'd be built. Sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. Okay. We see the narration about like the uncovering of the chest. We see that the companion who come, when he pokes the companion, yeah. So the Prophet pokes one of the companions to get him back in line in the battle, and the companion is like, well, why are you poking me for? I want to poke you. Okay. So the Prophet says, okay, well you can take my stick then and poke me. He goes, no, you got armor on. Take off your armor. So he takes off his armor and uncovers his chest. Okay, and he just hugs the Prophet and kisses him. And the Prophet says, Ma bika, what's wrong with you? And he says, I'm about to go into battle. I want the last thing that I do is that I touch you skin to skin. Okay, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Asmar alone, this red complexion. So the complexion is a big discussion. What was the complexion of the Prophet sallallahu? Okay, so big discussion to the extent where I think 1 or 2 years ago there was like a fierce debate about it on one of the social media sites, right? Because social media is full of wonderful goodness, isn't it? Anyway, point is that so there's a big discussion about what was the complexion of the Prophet. Was it kind of like tend towards lightness or was it tending toward darkness? Okay. What was known is that at the time, a tinge of redness was something that was beautiful. So like you look at the likes of kind of like Jamil, who was who's mentioned in Surah Lahab, the wife of Abu Lahab. Okay. وَمُرَأَتُهُ حَمَّالَةَ الْحَطَبِ, that one. She was known as Jamil, the mother of beauty. She had like redness. And like what the Prophet had this kind of tinge of redness. That was something that was beautiful amongst the Arabs. And he possessed that, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Okay. So it's like a tinge of brown, basically. Okay. إذا مشى يتكفى. When he would walk, he would incline forward. Okay, and that was from his humility, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would not only incline forward, he would always be looking down, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, he never had his chest up. Okay, which is what people like to do nowadays, right? Kind of like show off and stuff. He was always have his head down, and he would walk, and he'd be tilt downwards a little bit. And actually, yatakaffa has three meanings. First, it means to walk quickly. Okay, like he wouldn't be slothful in his walking. Okay, like one of the commentators saying, like, look at the Romeos of today who walk like women, slowly and relaxing and stuff. This is not the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ, he would person of purpose. You're gonna go somewhere, you go there, right? And walk quickly. Okay, that's one of the meanings of yatakaffa. The second meaning of yatakaffa is, like I said, to lean forward, and the third one is to lift your leg with force, to not like drag your feet. The Prophet ﷺ wouldn't do that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, he would lift his feet with force, but then he would place it on the ground with softness. But he wouldn't like that. Not only just stomp, not only stomp, but also to drag your feet. Okay, this was not from the sunnah of the Prophet. That's all encapsulated within yatakaffa. Okay, so he wouldn't drag his feet on the ground. Okay. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Okay. Third hadith. We'll only go through 5 today, inshallah. So this is on the authority of Bara ibn Azib. Bara ibn Azib. He says, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he says, no. Who is Bara ibn Azib? Again, he's a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Okay, another companion. So he says, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رجلا مربوعا. Okay, رجلا مربوعا بعيد ما بين المنكبين عظيم الجمة إلى شمحة أذنيه عليه حلة حمراء ما رأيت شيئا قط أحسن منه. Okay, so رجلا مربوعا بعيد ما بين المنكبين عظيم الجمة إلى شحمة الأذنين عليه هلة حمراء ما رأيت شيئا قط أحسن منه. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a man marbu'an, of medium build, medium height. Okay, بعيد ما بين المنكبين. Okay, broad shoulders. Mankibay is the two shoulders. Mankibain, yeah, dual meaning two, right? The two shoulders. Ba'id, so like far. So he had broad shoulders, yeah. Adhim al-jummati ila shahmati udhunay. Okay, and he had like jumma. Jumma, we will go through like thick hair. Ila shahmatil udhunay, up to his earlobes, there, up to his earlobes. Okay. Alayhi hullatun humra. Okay, we're going to ma ra'aytu shay'an qattu ahsana min. I never saw anything more beautiful than him. This is what Bara ibn Azim says, radiyallahu an. Okay. So jumma is the hair which is kind of like, it reaches the shoulders. Okay. However, he says that the hair, so the companions who narrate the length of the hair of the Prophet, they differ. Some say it came up to his earlobes, some say it goes to his shoulders, some say it comes above the ears. Like there's different narrations with regards to it. Okay, so he says ila shahmat al-udhunay, so up to the earlobes, he says. Okay, so it's Jumma is generally mentioned as hair that goes up to the shoulder, but here, because he says ila shahmat al-udhunay, it goes up to the earlobes, meaning it hasn't reached the shoulders. Okay, it hasn't reached the shoulders. All right. Okay. عليه خلة حمراء. Hulla is like you know this the rida, like this kind of shawl. Yeah, that's like is known as the hulla. This would be hamra, red. Okay, so the ulama say, well, okay, so does that mean that it was fully red? No, that means it had red stripes in there. Okay, so it was permissible for men to have red, red striped clothing. Otherwise, generally, full red is something which is disliked. Okay, Yemenis wear them. Okay, Yemenis wear them like these, like this kind of shawl, rida, yeah, which is also can be used like a izar, like a lungi as well. Okay, that's also mentioned. ما رأيت شيئا قط أحسن منه. So I didn't see anything more beautiful than him. Meaning, like he doesn't say that I didn't see any person more beautiful. I didn't see shay'an, anything. Meaning that the moon, the sun, the stars, nothing was more beautiful than this. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. That's what he said. The famous couplet that that is narrated, that وَأَجْمَلُ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَرَى قَطُّ عَيْنِي وأطيب منك لم تلد النساء خلقت مبرأ من كل عيب كأنك قد خلقت كما تشاء. That وأطيب منك لم تلد وأحسن لم ترى قط عيني. There's nothing that is more beautiful that eyes have seen. وأطيب منك لم ترى وأطيب لم تلد النساء. And women have not given birth to anything more purer. خُلِقْتَ مُبَرَّأً مِنْ كُلِّ عَيْبٍ. You were created with no imperfections. كَأَنَّكَ قَدْ خُلِقْتَ كَمَا تَشَاءُ. It's as if you were created as you wanted to be. And then قَمَرٌ, yeah? That's the rashid that comes after, okay? But like, see, when these companions said this, like, this was, a reality for them. A companion says, I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the night of the full moon. And I look at the Prophet ﷺ and then I look at the moon. The moon in of its splendor, look what it does. At the night time, it brings light to the night. Okay? And even when you look at the moon, you think, oof. And the Arabs, whenever they would describe somebody in terms of like beauty, they would say, Kal Kamar. It's like the moon. Because they would attach beauty to the moon, right? And he says, I looked at the Prophet ﷺ and then I looked at the moon. Then I looked at the Prophet ﷺ and then I looked at the moon. Then I looked at the Prophet ﷺ and I looked at the moon. فَإِذَا هُوَ أَحْسَنُ الْقَمَرِ. And there he stood more beautiful than the moon. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Okay. Next hadith, again by Bara ibn Azib radiyallahu anh. He says, مَا رَأَيْتُ مِنْ ذِي مِلَّةٍ في حلة حمراء أحسن من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم له شعر يضرب منكبيه بعيد ما بين المنكبين لم يكن بالقصير ولا بالطويل. So basically a lot of these hadiths are kind of similar, but it's obviously from different narrations and different companions narrating them. But I've never saw anyone with a where are we? Yeah. So I've never saw someone with long hair, okay, and hulla with like red clothing or the red izar, the red rida, okay, more beautiful than or more handsome than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay. Lahu sha'run yadribu mankibay. Now he says, okay, in a different narration, he says now that his hair actually came up to his shoulders. So the same person who's narrating that it came up to his earlobes, now he's saying it's meant to his shoulders. So you could probably kind of qualify this by saying maybe he said this at different times. Yeah. So maybe he saw the Prophet in one state and it was like this, and he saw the Prophet in a different state in a different way. Yeah. He says, "Ba'idu ma bain al-mankibay." So it concurs on the fact that the Prophet had broad shoulders. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Lam yakun bil qasir wala bil tawil. He was not extremely short, nor was he excessively tall. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Okay. Right. Final hadith we'll go through is the hadith by Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu an. Ali ibn Abi Talib is the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. He says, and Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu an قال لم يكن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بالطويل ولا بالقصير. Okay, شثن الكفين والقدمين ضخم الرأس ضخم القراديس طويل المسربة إذا مشى تكفؤا كأنما ينحط من صبب لم أرى قبله ولا بعده مثله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So he says رضي الله عنه, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was neither extremely tall nor very short. Okay, Shasthnul kaffaini wal qadamain. He had palms and feet that were strong but soft, meaning that they were fleshy. Okay, he had extreme flesh. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, dakhmul ra's, dakhmul qaradis. Okay, so he had a proportionally large head and generally large joints. So he was big jointed. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tawilul masruba, and he had a long, fine line of hair that stretched from the upper part of his chest to his navel. So from his chest to his navel, he had like the chest hair was just one line. That's it. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, where does it say this one in here? The Mubarak face was lounge. The complexion was okay, where are we? Okay, there was a thin line of hair from the chest to the navel. Okay, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam walked, it appeared that he was descending from a high place. Meaning, takaffu'an ka'annama yanhattu min sabab. So he leaned forward, okay, in a manner which as if he was coming from like a tall place and he's walking downwards. Okay, he leaned forward. Okay. Lam ara qablahu wa la ba'dahu mithla. That I did not see anyone before him or after him like him. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Okay. He mentioned that he had dakhmul ra's, like a big proportion head. This was a sign of nobility. The person who had like a kind of large proportion head, this is a sign of nobility. Okay. And when he speaks about dakhmul qaradis, like large joints, that's like shoulders, knees, the hips. This was like, of his big joints. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Meaning the Prophet in and of himself was striking in nature. And we will find generally that those companions who saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, although they described the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for many of them they could not look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in terms of his face. Okay, because it was his face was striking. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Whenever they would look at him, automatically they would kind of lower their gaze. Okay, due to his great countenance and his great presence. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Tayyib. Okay, inshallah we will end there and we will continue this. There's only about 14 ahadith within this chapter, and then there's another chapter. Some of the chapters are kind of short, maybe like a few ahadith within them. Some of them are longer. But the point is, like I said, that let's take this slowly, inshallah. And our intention throughout this is not only to kind of learn more about the Prophet ﷺ, but to gain in love with them. One of the things that I would like to mention just at the end is that a lot of times we think, okay, well, what's the point of learning about his physical features? Like, what are we going to get out of that? The point is that when you learn more about the kind of physical features of someone, you naturally will gain in love of them. Okay, that's something that's natural. Okay, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He increases us in love of Him. Sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. Okay, any questions? Yeah, okay. So, this is the book that we've got, Muhammad, A Portrait of Perfection, which can be obtained from Amazon by Sheikh Abdul Majid Al-Sharnubi. That's the book, inshallah. That's what it looks like. We'll be going through this, inshallah, so you can kind of get it. Heritage Press is the publisher. And what he's done in this is the Shamā'il in of itself has a lot of ahadith that are repetitive, but of different chains. So first of all, he's taken out the chains, and on top of that, he's omitted those hadiths which are very, very similar in wording. Okay, and so he's concised it a bit. But it's beautifully written, and he's given a bit of commentary. So it's beautifully written. So inshallah we'll go through that. طيب. Okay. جزاكم الله خير إن شاء الله. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.